Hello and welcome. I'm Rawia Alami and this is the Dailies, where we take a look at important news stories, reports, analyses and articles published in newspapers and media outlets across the world. Most newspapers today reported on President Trump's decision to delay imposing 50% tariffs on the EU till June. They also reported on the Russian escalating attacks on Ukraine, which led to Trump describing the Russian president as crazy. However, a lot of newspapers continued to follow the story of the legal battle between the Trump's administration and higher education institutions like Harvard. We'll start with the Washington Post, which followed President Trump's decision to block Harvard University from enrolling foreign students, publishing a report that highlights the crucial role of international students in the U.S., especially amid recent political controversy. The article shows with maps, charts, and also graphs the breakdown of the overseas students, saying indeed that over 1.1 million international students attend American colleges each year, a rise from only 53,000 foreign students in 1960. As you can see on this map, most or the highest number of foreign students in the US come from India with 331,000 students, followed by China with 277,000, and then Canada with 28,000, and also Brazil with 16,000 students. Now, these students contribute nearly $44 billion to the U.S. economy and support more than 387,000 jobs. They are vital for innovation, particularly in STEM fields, and help keep universities financially viable as domestic enrollment declines. The report also includes a chart depicting which American universities have the most international students, showing New York University at the top with more than 27,000 foreign students. The piece also highlights that the Trump administration's latest decision regarding Harvard threatens not just the academic futures of thousands, but also local economies and America's global research leadership, especially when almost 30% of the total of Harvard's enrollments, as you can see, are international students. If we look at the graph here that the Washington Post included, it is clear that the percentage of international students at Harvard University has been standing at almost 20% since 2006. And notice also the rise in international enrollments, with the percentage almost reaching 30% last year. The report cites the National Foundation for American Policy, which estimates that if all international students were barred from studying in the U.S., undergraduate students' enrollment would drop by at least 20%, and graduate student enrollment would shrink by at least 11% over the next decade. The report concludes that experts warn that losing international students would make the U.S. universities less competitive and harm both economic and academic progress. Foreign Policy published an article reviewing President Donald Trump's latest budget proposal, which aims to drastically cut U.S. funding for the United Nations, including peacekeeping missions. The article is written by Jana Nelson, a former senior advisor at the U.S. mission to the United Nations, and Chris Lu, a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations for Management and Reform. They both explain that while conservatives have long pushed to reduce support for the UN, this time they may indeed succeed, leading to a major shift in global power. The article warns that if the US steps back, China and other countries will fill the gap, shaping global rules and standards in ways that may not align with American values. The review notes that while the UN needs reform, US engagement is crucial for maintaining influence. Ultimately, the article argues that withdrawing from the UN would weaken America's global leadership and allow rivals to set the agenda. Alicia Finley wrote in the Wall Street Journal examining President Joe Biden's stage 4 prostate cancer diagnosis, questioning how such an advanced case went unnoticed despite his access to excellent health care. It also highlights that Biden hadn't had a routine PSA blood test since 2014, reflecting national guidelines that advise against screening older men due to concerns about unnecessary treatments. The review points out that some medical experts, like Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, who is an oncologist and also the architect of the Affordable Care Act, believe cancer screenings for seniors do more harm than good. But this approach is now under scrutiny. The article suggests that Biden's situation exposes the risks of one-size-fits-all guidelines and calls for more personalized healthcare decisions for older adults, especially when early detection could indeed save lives. Le Monde published an editorial discussing the political tensions in France following a leaked report on the influence of Muslim Brotherhood. President Emmanuel Macron stepped in to calm the heated debate, urging his government to address the issue seriously instead of using it for political gain. The report claims that the Muslim Brotherhood poses a long-term threat to France or to the French society as well by spreading its ideas quietly through education and social activities. However, experts warn against stigmatizing France's 7.5 million Muslims and emphasize the importance of recognizing their diversity. The article also suggests that real solutions should focus on integration and education and a balanced approach to secularism rather than political point scoring. It ultimately points out that the government's response in June will be a key test of its commitment to these goals. To the Jerusalem Post now, which published an exclusive report detailing the rising tensions between Iran, the US, and the European powers, namely UK, Germany, and France, over stalled nuclear negotiations. With a key UN sanctions snapback mechanism set to expire in October, European officials warn the Trump administration that Iran may be intentionally delaying talks to avoid new sanctions. The main sticking point is uranium enrichment. The US insists Iran must halt all enrichment, while Iran claims the right to continue for peaceful purposes. Despite some progress in recent talks, no breakthrough has been reached, and therefore the article highlights the risks that without a new deal soon, Europe will trigger snapback sanctions, an action Iran threatens to answer forcefully, raising fears of further regional instability and a possible nuclear crisis. Jemima Kelly wrote in the Financial Times a rather humorous, satirically toned article today exploring President Trump's unusual habit of openly complimenting the looks of powerful men he meets, from Middle Eastern leaders to American athletes. The writer notes that Trump's focus on appearance isn't new. He once owned the Miss Universe pageant and has long valued beauty, especially in women. What stands out now is how much he praises men's looks, using flattery as a tool to build quick rapport and assert confidence. Also, psychologist Mary Trump, his niece, suggests that these compliments are superficial but help Trump feel liked and in control. The article argues that Trump's obsession with appearances reveals that both his desire for approval and his showman's approach to politics, always casting himself as the star surrounded by central casting characters. And we'll end with The Guardian, which published an article by Paul McInnes reflecting on Gary Lineker's emotional farewell from the BBC's Match of the Day after 26 years as host. The send-off was fittingly marked by a heartfelt montage, of course, tributes from football legends and a few tears. Also, Lineker, known for his wit and humility, looked back on his journey with gratitude, calling it utterly joyous. The article highlights his unique style, combining football passion with gentle humor, and his evolution from a respected player to the beloved face of British sports broadcasting. While his career ended amid some social media controversy, the piece celebrates Lineker's legacy as a steady, genial presence whose charm and banter made Match of the Day a comforting fixture for generations of fans. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.